So first of all, just to let, I think just kind of speaking to becoming an entrepreneur, Lucy and I were coaching at a company. We went in for a performance review, came out without jobs.
Yeah. I took a Lyft ride home and I was like, can I afford this Lyft right now? I don't have a job. What are we going to do?
Yeah, and we met up and I was like, well, that was I love my company, I love what we were doing, and that's the last job that I'm going to have. And she's like, same. And we started WorkWell the next day. So just to give you a sense of, there doesn't have to be a grand plan. I like to call unemployment the women's small business fund or loan, but be mindful that there's laws and such around that. It can help boost the runway a little bit.
The California Female Founders Fund.
That's it. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. We pay to live here for a reason. There's a lot of benefits, right? I paid for that loan, all right? So we are coaches. WorkWell is a job search and interview skills bootcamp. We focus primarily on supporting folks break into tech, move around in tech, and be really empowered in their careers. We're going to talk a lot about stats around women, and that's really what was behind what we really cared to do. So we worked with a lot of software engineers exclusively, and our classrooms at our previous company looked a lot like tech already looks like, which is great. And we were empowering people, and that felt really good. But we're like, there's more out there. There are other communities we want to be serving. And after starting WorkWell, we got to choose what communities we wanted to serve. And we started with, we want to serve women, like we're women, we want to support women, and then we realized, well, our values are really about creating inclusive communities. So we want our classrooms to look like the future of tech, where everyone is truly represented. So, that said, we've coached a lot of people in our careers, and it's been a really great journey. So on top of the Job Search and Interview Skills Bootcamp, we are launching a Career Discovery Accelerator December 2nd, and so those are some of our offerings in the space that we're in. Let's see, what else do we want to dig into here? What do you want to add to that?
Well, a big part of it is there's a number of folks, specifically in the Black and Brown community, who don't have access to maybe even the resources or the knowledge. How do I even get my foot in the door? I keep submitting these resumes, but nobody's looking at them. I don't have any contacts at these companies. It's defeating. And so what Whitney and I did is we identified all of the barriers to entry within how to get a job in tech in both technical and non-technical roles. And after that, we created a curriculum that literally helps you break down every single one. And that's how we've helped over 800 people get jobs in this space. So it's deeply meaningful work for many reasons. I'll tell you about one of our clients. Which one did I pick? I'm like the Lyft driver. I'm like always selling. I'm like, you like your job at driving Lyft? Oh no? So literally it doesn't stop. It's the Egyptian. Any Egyptians in the house?
Oh! Great! How many hands was that?
What? No! Okay, too many in one room. Right. So I've done dozens of talks this year, and every single time I ask and there's no hands, and I'm like, all right, I promise one day I'm going to ask you.
The excitement.
What a night. I can't even.
I think we're done. I'm good. Wow. Okay.
Well, for society, that's all the Egyptians in the room. You want to
tell the joke?
Oh, there's actually, yes, it's not a joke, it's real life.
Oh, my bad.
So Egyptians, you might know this, you're hanging out with them. So Egyptians have a different sounding heartbeat. Just bear with me. So if you listen to, a non-Egyptian's heartbeat, it's dun-dun, dun-dun, dun-dun. If you listen to an Egyptian person's heartbeat and you listen really closely, y'all feel me? You can hear it. It's dun-dun, 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 dun-dun. Anyways, I'm so happy. Thank you for making me. Okay, so where were we? So
deeply meaningful work.
Deeply meaningful work. So getting folks into this space. So I think just more of kind of zooming out even more into why WorkWell exists and what the problem is I have a friend at Google, for instance. She's a recruiter, and she says, Lucy, I get 1 million resumes a year. 1 million resumes. So no one's looking through resumes. It's not old school, like it's going through a system. And folks don't even know the keywords that need to be on their resume. My other friend, our friend at Pandora, he hires for iOS engineers, and he gets, he'll submit the role, get 1,200 apps, and then like within the first 24 hours, he hits command find iOS, and if you don't have iOS on your resume, you're already gone. So he's like, boom, 600 resumes out the door, right? So there's a lot of really strategic things that people don't know, like who teaches us this stuff? Where are we supposed to learn this? So WorkWell is sort of what we see as when we graduated college, we wish there was this in-between of people who taught us how to salary negotiate and ask for more money and all these key skills that we're going to carry for the rest of our lives, compiled into a 21-hour boot camp with some really fun people and just a really killer community. So that's a little bit more about us. Now to get into some of the data. So for the 4th year in a row, the underrepresentation of women cannot be explained by attrition. You'll see this here. And I'm just to speak from personal experience, I worked at Apple for a number of years doing learning and development. I led a team of 400 to do like empathy trainings, business acumen, all kinds of different things. And I remember looking at my leaders, and there was one woman in particular. She was an amazing human being. Her name was Consuela. And I just saw that she was at this company for 12 years and hadn't moved up at all. And I just thought, wow, this is really fascinating to me. If I continue to stay here, like that will be me and I will die. And so, and that, mind you, that was a one-off perspective, that was a narrative that I was making. But what was under that was this deeper calling of, okay, this isn't for me, I could stay and do this, but parts of me will actually die. And so, now I'm really glad that I listened to the, emotions are beautiful. When we turn an emotion over, there's really a deep longing of what it is that we want to bring forth in the world. And so don't get mad at your emotions, but tune into them. What are they here to teach us? So why our world needs WorkWell. So women make up only 20% of the industry, increasing opportunities for people of color in the fastest growing and highest paying sectors of the economy requires more insistent efforts to bring about real change. Progress on gender diversity at work has stalled. To achieve equality, companies must turn good intentions into concrete action. And then women receive lower salary offers than men for the same job at the same company 63% of the time, which is something that Whitney and I are extremely passionate about. At this point, we've helped women negotiate, I don't even know, an insane amount of money. We helped someone get up to $220K at Amazon who was job seeking for 8 months and just in a rut, former entrepreneur. So deeply, deeply meaningful work when she gets a salary like that. Not only does her life change, her community's life changes, and it just impacts the whole community. So, let's see here. So some of our solutions. So we shared a little bit more about our boot camps and the skills that we teach within, trying to think of, is there anything specifically or any stories in particular that you'd like to share?
Yeah. I mean, I think the most important thing, especially anyone like a career changer, has career changed, gotten into tech, looking to get into tech. No? Yeah. Okay, cool. It's all like, what's your pitch? What's the narrative you're putting forward? So many of us have relevant skills and experience, but we don't speak well to it, right? And so that doesn't come across in the interview, and you're always going to look more junior than someone who is speaking, super well to the experience that they have and how it's relevant. And so we do a lot of work there, and I'm really excited about the accelerator we're creating because it's all about looking inward and really reflecting. Because I like to tell my clients this is a way to make them feel better, but it's like, and you're too young to get out of the system now, right? Like, you're gonna keep working, you're going to find another job. But I think a lot of us at this point are looking for like fulfilling, meaningful work, which has an impact on the companies because people tend to stay longer. Retention is a huge cost to businesses. So it's this whole kind of life cycle. But when do we ever pause to look in? Like, can you state your values right now? Could you tell me your pitch? Do you know what you're excited about in your work? Are you caught in narratives around what your family thinks or your parents or what you think about yourself if you're to leave this job that you have a degree for that you actually hate every day. So it's really bringing, like, shining that light inward so that you can be empowered moving forward. Because I'm really passionate about work. Like, that's where we spend so much of our time. And for some people, it doesn't need to be the most fulfilling thing, and that's perfect. But if it is where we're spending a lot of our time, the impact that has on your whole life and the confidence that you have, or the relationships you have, or the opportunities that you're creating for yourself are impacted by what you're doing with most of your waking hours. So that's what's exciting about what we do.
Yeah. All right. So I want to talk to you a little bit more about just specifically how we support the community. So back to the Lyft client. So so this guy's awesome. He's also on Nas's new album, which is insane. No, I'm not kidding you. The Lost Tapes too, he was featured in. So he's like set the run. He's like, I don't even want to get into tech anymore. Just like cashing in on that royalty. So I remember when we first started working together, he was like, hey, like I'm a musician and I'm driving Lyft and I don't want to be doing this. He was a digital nomad. He introduced me to the term where he doesn't have a home. And he was like living around in Airbnbs and doing that whole thing, which sounded like a nightmare. But we ended up working with him closely, and I remember he said, hey, like Lucy, just tell me who I need to be in these interviews, like so I can get the job. He's a black man, and he thought, I can't be myself, I'm not gonna belong, I'm not gonna get in. Just tell me like the script of what I need to say, what I need to do. And I was like, man, like that's not what this is. Like we really want to get people in touch with who they are and specifically, really strategically target companies that are going to allow him to be his full self at work. We like to say, Whitney likes to say, maybe like your Monday afternoon self, not your Saturday night self, which I think is really key because authenticity is important and like Whitney turns up on Saturday night. So.
Sure don't. Not anymore, that's right.
I like mine better, yeah. So we actually gave up caffeine too this week, so that was really rough watching your coffee thing. I
know, it was sad.
I was like, do I want
Yeah, we can't be buyers, but...
Yeah, no, but we'll definitely support the cause.
Promoters.
Yeah, promoters of the brand, exactly. So I think that's been really helpful, just getting people to tune in and be like, okay, who am I before I go on this crazy search, or maybe I don't even want to get into tech. And for him, he discovered that like that was a story that someone created for him. Like this is the only way you can make money is by getting into tech, which is foolishness. And so it's what I love about it is we get people to really think about these things that are the bigger questions of, you know, I want to help people, but what does that actually mean? What's underneath that? And then getting them to really pointing them in the direction. For him, it was like going full in on the music, and now dude's on Nas's album, like set for life. So, but I really appreciate that. So we try to pass that along. So, what else can I say? So, a little bit more about some of the traction. So we've built some partnerships with coding bootcamps in the Bay. Whitney and I coached over 500 software engineers, in particular teaching them emotional intelligence, which is definitely a full-time job, and extremely, so I love you all software engineers in the house, and it's real. So we learned a lot there, and support them, and specifically the bootcamp grads of how to really market themselves in the industry. A lot of them have imposter syndrome if they don't have a CS degree, for instance. And what I'm really, really excited about is just the career discovery accelerator that Whitney was talking about. I think we're moving into sort of a new paradigm with just the new world and how, you know, I'm back to being Egyptian. I had 3 options: doctor, lawyer, engineer. I got into a medical school in DC, and I like handed it to them like, this is for you, not for me. I'm gonna move to San Francisco and work for Apple. And that was kind of the journey. They did not talk to me for 3 months as if Apple was like this terrible job. But anyways, growing up Egyptian, y'all can relate. Thank you for the empathy. And so here we are, and I think it's really interesting in this new world where people are, you know, meaning is the new currency, and it's so true for a lot of people that we work with. Obviously we live in San Francisco and so money really matters as well to pay the bills. However, ultimately, how much is enough, and we want to enjoy our 40+ hours a week of where we work and really enjoy the people we work next to, feel like we belong for who we are. And so I think this is deeply meaningful work. This is why we do it and have given our lives to this purpose. And so genuinely thank you for being here today. We love sharing more about it. So if you're interested at all at WorkWell, you can get involved in a number of ways. We're looking for mentors and coaches. We have a lot of industry professionals who do mock interviews with our students. We also have a Slack channel. We will go ahead and send out these slides afterwards with links to sign up. And then you can also email us. We're hello@weworkwell.io if you're like, hey, I have this really cool idea, or I want to support in this way. We're always down to get creative and explore. Our board of advisors, just because we love them, shout out to these wonderful people who really took us from conception to launch to supporting all these amazing individuals to get jobs. And that is all I have. That's all we have for you tonight. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Can you go back to the last slide?
You got it. You can also check us out at WeWorkWell.io for more information. Yeah.
So it looks like you said you've worked with a number of startups or mid-sized companies. What do you do with them, with the companies specifically, versus the individual coaching and mentorship?
Yeah. So we actually have worked with Recology. We went in and spoke to their women's group, and we did a workshop on confidence. We connected with Stitch Fixes. Stitch Fixes, is that it?
Sure.
Is that it? Stitch Fix. Apostrophe. Their racial diversity ERG, and that was really cool. We were in the belly of the beast for a minute there. But it's really, I think it's like a one-off thing, right? It's more of like a consulting, like what do you got going on, or workshops helpful, sometimes coaching or just holding space. Because everyone's, there's the two sides, right? Of like we're supporting people, seekers, people looking for fulfilling work or for jobs that make sense or to break into tech or whatever their goal is. With the goal of like impacting individuals so that the tech landscape, and we work with folks who aren't targeting tech, but so that landscape starts to shift. Because I'm over here like, we got the smartest people in the world, the people who have the most money, and yet this is still an issue because it's, Lucy likes to say it's a mess, right? It's not a problem that can be solved. There's so many layers happening there. And just in being in conversations with companies, they're looking at, is it the interview process when no, it's actually the way you're bringing people into your company, which is through a referral basis, and your whole company's white women. So, who do you think is going to be walking through into the interview process? So it's really helping people shift. Like, you think the problem's over here, but it's actually the mess that's over here. So that's some of the work we do with companies. Yeah.
Great question. We also do competency-based training. So Whitney and I, that's a part of our curriculum is we teach Lominger-based competencies. And so managing conflict in the workplace, D&I, all kinds of different things, which is really exciting and deeply meaningful. They used to be called soft skills. In today's world, they are essential skills, as you all know. And that's why we love doing it.
Yeah.
So, what else?
Cool.
All right.
Thanks.
Thanks for your time.